Okay, so this is my review of Your Honor, episode 5. This is directed by Clark Johnson and written by Dwayne Darian Jones. So we're coming right away from where we left off with this crazy cliffhanger of the Jones household being blown up. You see now the only boy left in the family, Eugene. You feel for him. He's got the shirt on with his mom and his siblings. And we're at this funeral reception going on in this side of town, and we get introduced to a big new character, literally in Big Mo. Now, I really like Big Mo is introduced here. It's at the perfect time to kind of now have a catalyst as someone who's going to respond to this blow up of the Jones house to the Baxters. It puts another big kind of leader character besides Michael, the Baxters, and her now, making this like triangular effect of like a war going on. Now, an interesting change in events is Little Mo. His character basically tells Eugene how a cop really needed a car stolen for Kofi. And Big Mo and Little Mo would reveal this to the Baxters later on. So remember, Little Mo's living with guilt of what happened to Kofi now, and also to the family, because he was the one who told Kofi to plead guilty and not to squeal. But now Little Mo himself is saying what really went down because of the threat now of the Baxters, thinking that they're the result of their son's death. Now, what I thought was kind of odd about this episode, it stuck out to me, was especially with Little Mo's character, where he felt like he was teleporting from scene to scene, because this whole episode takes place in one day and we go to different areas. But in particular, Little Mo, his outfit is changing everywhere he's going, and you're wondering how he's like teleporting, it feels like, because we first see him this day at this funeral reception. Then he's working on the streets with Eugene, who's also in a different shirt, in the same day, and this is at lunchtime. And then he appears at the Baxters at this hotel in a completely different outfit, followed quickly by Eugene showing up to him in also another shirt, and he's in a different outfit, giving him these bed sheets. There was weird feeling of it not feeling like a realistic day in this episode, and that also goes to where Adam's at this cafe all day, not answering the phone calls of his father, but Fia shows up, just happenstance at this cafe, but decided to only go to her family's hotel gathering and pops up to say hi to Carlo and then goes to this cafe, and you're just like, how is everyone getting everywhere so quickly and conveniently? It did feel like there were so many locations and not enough establishing shots either to kind of catch your breath as the audience and kind of realize, where are we in this day? And I mean, you even have our lead, Michael, start out in court, then go home to deal with this threat, bring the dog to the animal hospital, then goes back to court to work, and then goes back to the animal hospital, and then back home to Adam, while this whole time Adam was just preparing for this insanely, I guess, long interview. But there's some really intense suspense going on here, especially in the open, where getting blackmailed now. I love he's got to go home. He sees there's the newspaper article. Someone's telling him he knows Adam did it. He's got the bat. And it really gets you on the edge of your seat right away. There is some odd pacing issues with the show, though, because the show will open with that kind of pace, and then in particular this episode, it will just completely slow down in like a scene with the cafe with Adam and Fia. There's not really a great rhythm of this episode, where it has some really fast-paced scenes and some really slow scenes, and it's not really totally all in sync. And like I'm saying, it's like this giant puzzle piece of a day. You're trying to kind of stay and figure out where you are. But what really stood out to me here was the cinematography. I think it actually stole the show for me in this episode. I love the cinematography just on the scene with Big Mo on the porch talking to Eugene, and this lighting they had of the sun on her was just a really beautiful shot. And they also do a good job of showing what a character's feeling with the camera. In particular, in the cafe scene with Adam, every time Fia even mentions her brother, we get a shallow focus in the environment of Adam, and he's clearly got some anxiety when that's brought up. So they really put you in the mood of each character, usually Adam or Michael, in a scene with the camera. There's always funny details, though, I love shows do that I always laugh at. Like, one in particular was when the blackmailer texted Michael when he was at the hospital, and he wants $222,000. I would love to just like text back if I was Michael, can we call it 220,000? Does it need to be exactly 222? It's such a random number. Like in the writer's room when they're deciding that, like where's the guy standing up raising his hand and being like, you know what, why don't we just make it 220,000? Why did you say 222? But clearly the writing's on the wall here with Adam and Fia's relationship. It's almost becoming this like Romeo and Juliet story where they're now in these really bad separate camps that they shouldn't even be talking. but they're actually starting to like each other romantically here. There is a connection, and you kind of just roll your eyes at Adam constantly, like, how is this smart to even be talking to a Baxter? But maybe it will be something that saves their butt in the end, because she seems like the only sane Baxter in this story, so they're kind of making that character that we can kind of get some sensibility from that angle of that family. Also, I complained before about the casting choice of Adam's teacher and that she looks too similar to his age. I have another complaint in that category. When we see Lee meets Kofi's father, he looks the same age as Kofi. I really am appalled when they do this kind of casting where it just does not represent in your head what you would envision age-wise contrasting to the character you knew and then meeting the father. It just put up a blank for me. I know I'm nitpicking, but I do think all these little things are subconsciously so important to the quality of a show, feeling like you're realistically in this world. Now, I really love this scene with Big Mo showing up to Jimmy Baxter, and this is a big moment. It's going to change everything because she's now explaining to him, you got the wrong guy. And it was interesting, too, the camera showing here that Carlo felt a little guilt there for killing Kofi, that, wait a second, did I do something wrong here? Did Kofi not kill my brother? And this is just a big twist, and Jimmy's really wants to make sure he got the right person. He wants true justice, so this sets an alarm off to him, and I love by the end of this episode he figures it out through this gas station that, oh my god, this judge deleted this footage. He gave the gas station worker a fake name, so now he knows who's a prime suspect here. I absolutely love Stuhlbarg's performance in this episode, especially when he confronts the cop informant he uses, saying, you think we're done here? Like, this is my effing son we're talking about. I thought that was just brilliant delivery by him, and he's really bringing his A game into this role and embracing it. Now, it's interesting, we see Amy, this porch neighbor we've been hinted at a lot, watching what's been going down at Michael's house, but she mentions that there was a man there in a green Toyota Camry. He was a white male with a horseshoe logo in the window, giving us the hint of who this blackmailer can be. On the phone with the blackmailer, he sounded like he had a very high-pitched voice, like a younger voice. I still obviously think this is this mysterious character who we saw following Adam that day in the black vehicle. And he also saw him taking pictures of the crime scene. And we'll see that I would assume this black car took the picture of him or video at the gas station he sends to Michael at the end of this episode. But I love the turn of Michael's character here when he goes to see the blackmailer. He doesn't have the money. And he says, I don't think you have the evidence to pull this off or the balls to see this through. I have to say, and I know people get annoyed every time I mention Breaking Bad, but come on, it reminds you of Walter White. That's why I love seeing it, but it's just like something he would do. I have to acknowledge that it's there. You see it. If you watch Breaking Bad, it just comes back to you. But it ended really strong this episode, having now Jimmy Baxter figure out, oh my god, this judge knows who killed my son, and this is a catalyst now to make me feel like episode 6 is going to be crazy, and that we got this blackmailer involved, and Michael's just got all these things happening that are a result of his decision to cover up what happened with Adam. Everything is breaking. Everyone's getting onto him. You got Lee also catching on more and more to what really happened to Kofi. So I'm excited to see how this all plays out. This got me a lot more interested again. It was a good setup episode for what should be a crazy episode 6, calming down a bit from the blow up in last episode's cliffhanger, but now setting to this big moment at the midpoint of the season that Jimmy Baxter now is on to Michael. So in general, it's a stronger episode this season. I'm actually going to give this one an 8.5, and the only reason I don't give it a little higher is because I still felt like the way it was presented, timeline-wise, was confusing. It's not that I didn't get where we were, but it was hard task, almost too hard. They made it overcomplicated and where people were appearing, and I don't think it adds anything and helps your cause when you're changing their outfits each scene too. Like Little Mo in those scenes, he's moving so fast, but it feels like that where you're like, what day is it? Because he's wearing these very bright outfits, but you're like, why did he change? He keeps changing every scene. Just keep it the same outfit so it keeps us just subconsciously remembering where we are and what day and who we're following. But let me know your theories down below, who this blackmailer is, what you think is going to happen next, how you're liking the show. Did you like this episode in particular? I love to read every comment, and I try to respond as many as I can. Please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss one of my reviews of Your Honor. I also am reviewing other shows at the moment like Cobra Kai and Servant, and I also do celebrity interviews, so you don't want to miss that. And if you really love what I do here, I'd really appreciate a $2 monthly donation you can commit to with my PayPal link down below. It will give me the opportunity to do videos full time. That's my dream, and get more videos out to you guys. And please follow me at Steve Varley Show on Twitter and Instagram for more of me. And I'll see you next time.